48 minutes past 8 o'clock. My name is Priveli Baz. This is Sunrise at Sea. Thank you so much for keeping it right here on CTV. Of course, we do appreciate, and yes, right now we're streaming on our website at www.ctv.co.ug/live. I'm joined in studio by Agi Uwase, and today we're going to be looking at a very interesting conversation, conflict management. Now, if you've ever been in a workplace, you're probably not you're not new to conflict management. Yes, where you be in a workplace and there is people, who want to show their importance to the company. And as a result, you find that, you're bumping heads with either the manager or the manager is also bumping heads with the employees. And, there's sort of like conflict. So if I'm to put it, any other way, there's just a way we cannot avoid conflict in the workplace. So we are going to be zeroing down this conversation and limiting it only to the workplace. But yeah, Agi, in the interest of time, yes, because clearly you're running out of time, yes. How do you identify conflict? Let's start from there.
Like in the workplace,
yes, in the workplace,
there's always breakdown, but no, I think it cuts across. There's always breakdown in communication to start with. You find you cannot clearly, freely talk with your supervisor or your employer. You're hiding things away from each other, and then you hear them in the the corridors of your workplace, and then there's usually that struggle. I don't know. I don't want to say struggle, like downplaying each other or disregarding each other. If your supervisor is saying, I think you are wrong here, like, no, I don't think I am wrong here. So there's ego in between. Yeah. And also, I think that also cuts across with our interpersonal relations. You find this breakdown in communication, and then some of us, come with passive-aggressive behavior, and someone is giving you attitude and you don't know where it's coming from. Yeah, so it's quite a number of factors, but in the interest of time, I can tell you.
You can't say everything, yes. Well, I think I would have to say the biggest cause of conflict in any workplace is definitely insubordination, where you fail to handle your work or you fail to know your place at a workplace. Let's identify it like that, because, when you go to a workplace, you always have a supervisor or someone that you directly report to. So when you find yourself in a situation where you're questioning the authority, I think there's an issue of conflict there. Yes, there's definitely conflict there. But then how do you manage conflict? Yes, you've identified the conflict. You guys are not working together. How do you actually manage the conflict? But just, before I get Agi's answer to that, I'm going to give you a few conflict management styles. Now, of course, like I mentioned earlier on, conflict happens all the time in workplaces. But when an employee responds and resolves conflict, what happens? Is it limiting them? Is it actually aiding them? Let's take a look at the management styles. Number one, we always have the accommodation, the accommodating manager. And this one cooperates to a high degree. This may be the best, this may be at the manager's own expense and actually work against the manager's own goals, objectives, and desired outcomes. Now, this approach is effective when the other person is an expert or has a better solution. You cannot know everything. So sometimes as a manager, you have to be able to accommodate other people's views, especially if it is working to the betterment of your work in that particular company.
No man is an island. I totally agree with that. We have to all put our heads together, because there's a reason why you are a businessman and I am a technician, or I'm an engineer, or I'm a doctor. So everyone brings something to the table. Yes. And when it comes to a workplace environment, that's why you find there are structures. There's a COO, there is a human resource manager, there is an accountant, there is a technician, there's an engineer, there's a TV presenter. So everyone has a role they play. It's very important that we all listen to each other and, come to the table and bring our ideas together. And it's very bad for a supervisor to think that because you are a supervisor and you are my boss, I cannot really bring any ideas to the table.
Challenge some of you.
It's very important that it will challenge you in any way.
It should be done respectfully, rather.
Respectfully, absolutely, because there's always a lot of ego playing its part. So it could be any of you losing out on something really huge for you.
Yes. Well, the next conflict management style is avoidance. Now, avoiding an issue is one way a manager might attempt to resolve a conflict. Yes. This type of conflict style does not help the other staff members reach their goals and does not help the manager who is avoiding the issue and cannot assertively pursue his or her own goals. But I think this actually works where a matter is very trivial, a small matter. Sometimes just that you don't have to, react to everything. So if you can avoid some of the things that are not going to be detrimental to the work that you guys are working on, I think it's a good conflict management style that you can do what you can avoid the issue altogether. The other bit we have is collaboration. Now collaborating managers become partners or pair up with each other to achieve both of their goals in this style. Now this is how managers break free of the win-lose paradigm and they seek the win-win. This can be effective for complex scenarios where managers need to find a novel solution. Sometimes, what you're bringing to the table is quite not enough, and you may need to talk to someone else and you see what your knowledge can bring to the table and help resolve a conflict. The other bit is competing. This is a win-lose approach. A manager is acting in a very assertive way to achieve his or her own goals without seeking to cooperate with other employees, and it may be at the expense of those other employees. But do you also see how it could be important if time is of the essence and you don't have to listen to anyone else but maybe your supervisor?
No one else but your supervisor.
Yes, sometimes you find you're just going to be assertive and say do this, do that, do this, do that, especially when there is little time to do or cover some work.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true, because it saves all of you time. So listen, do what they are telling you, and then maybe you can talk about it later and you say, yes, you told me to do this, but we could have done it the other way. But for the moment, saving time, do it as we have told you.
Then the last bit is compromising. This is a lose-lose scenario where neither person nor the manager really achieves what they want. Now, in this level of conflict management style, it requires a moderate level of assertiveness and cooperation. It may also be appropriate for scenarios where you need a temporary solutions and both sides have equally important goals or important points that they're trying, to push across. But let's get back to the previous question. Answer my question, Agiwa. Say, how would you resolve a conflict, especially like in a group setting?
A group setting, workplace setting?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about workplace.
Like a team, let's say you're working on a project and yes, you're the supervisor and there's a group conflict and you need to, sort it out.
First of all, don't ignore it, because sometimes there are always the clues of, there's some conflict going on, but everyone chooses to ignore it, and then there's passive-aggressive behavior going in. You're trying to sabotage the other person, you're trying to do more or, to do better, and, it's always there. So don't ignore the conflict. When you see it, actually, I think approach it head on, because that's the only way you can move forward and, do things. But you cannot hide conflict for long. For long, yeah. It will always be evident. It will be evident in your energy. As you're working together, it will be very, very much evident. So for me, I'll say, don't ignore the conflict. Talk about it, bring it on the table, but make sure it's the right time, because timing is important. Timing is very much important. You don't find, say, for now like we're TV presenters, and then I'm on TV, I'm on air, and then you come to talk about the conflict on air. No, timing has to be of the essence, honestly, and you have to take that into consideration. Wait until I'm done with the show. Wait until someone is done with the important project that they're working on, and then sit down and talk about the conflict. And then there should always be solutions. Do not leave it hanging. Oh, yes. Because leaving it hanging is not solving a thing. It will go on. So make sure by the time you're done talking about that, you have found solutions. To that.
I actually like that. You actually started with, the best point, acknowledging the conflict. Many people tend to, ignore the issues and say, what, I'm saving someone's feelings in the short run, or, it's okay, let me just deal away with it. But, it's good that, you acknowledge the conflict, because it's going to help you work with this person on, future projects. Acknowledge the conflict, talk about it, and get it out of the way. I know Agi said, approach it head on, like there and then, but maybe
not there and then, but like don't beat about the bush when you're talking about it. Say, this is it, this is how it is. Don't try to go around in circles, because then you will not be clear about it, and what solutions are you going to find for it if you're not making it clear what the conflict is.
Absolutely zero. Well, the next step is that you need to stop and cool off. So take a minute to think through the course of action you would like to pursue. So while you're thinking of how you want to resolve this conflict, please avoid pointing fingers. Yes, avoid insulting people, avoid giving ultimatums and rigid demands. Avoid also defensive attitudes, because you're not getting anywhere, you're not achieving anything. Also, complaining behind teammates' backs is also very detrimental. Do not do it when you're trying to resolve conflict. Yes, making assumptions about others' behaviors is also wrong. Yes, just because I'm this kind of person outside work does not mean I'm bringing the same personality or behavior into, the workplace. So, be able to separate behavior and personality and focus on what is in front of you, which is work. The other bit is, clarify, the positions, let everyone voice his or opinions on the conflict and be heard. When you allow team members to elucidate on what is bothering them and, talk about what they feel about the conflict, it helps them, have that sense of belonging and feel like, their voice can actually be heard. Then list the facts and assumptions based on each position, because, when in conflict, some of the things are factual, others are really just perceived. So, identify the facts and the ones that are perceived, and finally break it to smaller groups and, make sure the information is palatable enough, like you're taking it in and you're understanding. And then finally, celebrate the resolution as a team. Celebration is good. When you say, fine, this is behind us, let's move on. You don't expect to meet your colleague in the corridor that, they are very angry at you and stuff like that, when you've actually, resolved the conflict.
Absolutely.
So your parting shots again in 10 seconds.
Please, conflict resolution is very much important. Just find the right way to do it, yes, and make sure that at the end of the day, if you have sat down to resolve a certain conflict, move with solutions, move on when you have solutions at the end of the day. Well, that is all I can say about it.
Absolutely. What I have to say is that no man is an island, so even in your workplaces, let's understand what our job descriptions are. Do your work diligently.
Wow, I like that.
And yes, understanding your job description will help you stay away from conflict. You will know this is my place as a TV presenter, this is my place as maybe let me say like a producer, or this is my place as an HR. So you don't expect the HR to come and handle the matters that could be handled by the producer. That's what I'm trying to say. So understand your job description and know what exactly.
Don't meddle.
Yeah, don't meddle in other people's businesses. Yes. Well, guys, in the interest of time, we've come to the end of Sunrise at Sea.
Yes.
But just particularly our views. Share your thoughts with us on our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CTV Uganda. My name is Priveli Baz. Good morning.
Beautiful and bright Thursday morning. It's not yet shining, but it's a good day. I hope that you take it that, Wasaya said it's a good day. But anyway, we had great conversations today on the Twitter jabs, Kenya-Uganda relations. And I must say I'm not going to apologize on behalf of the country. The president has already, apologized. But we ask our Kenyan brothers and sisters to actually forgive us. And let's move forward and live in harmony as two East African countries, just like we always have. And yes, we winded up the conversation with conflict management. It came in handy because there's a certain conflict, just like I mentioned earlier, that's been going on in regard to Kenya and Uganda after the First Son put out some what people dubbed as reckless tweets. I'm just quoting what people said. So yes, conflict management, very much important in our workspaces, in our interpersonal relationships. But do not forget how you handle it is what's most important. Just like Priva mentioned earlier, this conversation continues on our socials, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at CTV Uganda. For now, have a good day.